Dude, did you see the sick lowered crosstrack on Instagram the other day? I hate to break it to you, but that's actually the new Subaru WRX.
Write that down, write that down!
Yeah, I don't know about this one, guys. The new 2022 Subaru WRX is here, and with a new engine, it's about freaking time. Yes, I know that the F820 and the last WRX was a derivative of the Subaru BRZ engine / FRS GT86, but still, you know what I mean. I'm tired of the older generation Subaru engines, and thankfully, we get a new one. With the 2022 WRX being revealed, I have a lot to talk about, and a lot of it isn't good. Unfortunately. And I swear this isn't me being just incredibly mean to Subaru. I want Subaru to succeed, just like every sporty car company. But I have some things to say. Before we get really into the nitty gritty with the WRX, I want to thank today's sponsor, Keeps. Did you know that 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35? And the best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while you still have hair left on your noggin. With Keeps, a licensed doctor will review your information and recommend the right hair loss treatment plan for you. Then your treatment is shipped directly to your door every 3 months. It's very seamless. You can message your Keeps doctor 24/7 with any questions or concern you may have along the way and track your progress with the Keeps progress tracking tool. And Keeps offers generic versions of FDA approved medications for hair loss, which makes it more affordable. And prevention is key. Keeps treatments take about 4 to 6 months to start seeing results, so the sooner you take care of it and the sooner you get on it, the more hair you're going to save. So it is important to act fast. And find out why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors and why hundreds of thousands of men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention. So if you are ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/ThatDudeinBlue or click the link in the description to receive a special offer on Keeps treatments. That's KEEPS.com/ThatDudeinBlue. Thanks so much, and let's talk about the Subaru WRX. I have driven every Subaru you could possibly imagine, and for the most part, most of them feel pretty similar. But that is due to the drivetrain mostly. It didn't really matter if a Subaru had 500 horsepower or 700 horsepower or 300 horsepower. A lot of them had a very similar torque curve, a very similar sound, similar feeling. It didn't matter what chassis was in it. That's why they're kind of hard to review now, because they all kind of feel the same, which I hate to say. I don't mean that in an offensive way, but over time it started to feel a little stale. The 2015 STI was actually a letdown for me because I didn't think it was different enough feeling-wise from its prior models. Even the owner was like, yeah, it's all right, I guess. Subaru is basically unchallenged in the all-wheel drive rally segment in the car industry, and I think it's starting to show. I'm honestly a dude of patience when it comes to new cars being unveiled and looking at design language and being like, I don't know if I like the look of that new car. The rational side of me goes, you just don't like change and you don't know how to feel about it, because that's what humans do. We don't like change. And then the other side of me goes, I just don't like it. I usually give renders and unveilings time to kind of sink in, but with this one, I am just not sold. I can't convince myself. Jalopnik literally roasted this car so bad, I physically laughed out loud. The 2022 Subaru WRX is a sports sedan that looks like a crossover, the spiritual successor to the legacy Outback Sport utility sedan has arrived.
Got him!
The rear is kind of uninspired and looks like an Accord or even a Civic. And the front gives me kind of Subaru Crosstrek vibes with an elongated nose. So it just looks kind of odd. I mean, it could be worse. You know, like that Camaro a few years ago. Oh man, that was rough. But I gotta say, it just seems a little underwhelming because you take the front of it and it looks like they took the Crosstrek and lowered it and slammed it. Also, let's talk about the interior. Some of it is touchless in places I would rather it not to be touchless, like your AC controls is through the touchpad, and the more cars I drive with that, the more I hate it. I want a physical knob for AC and heat and stuff like that, because when you're driving around, you don't want it to be a task, or you miss your finger on the touchscreen going like this, right? You're just driving, and then it's unsafe, because then you're going this way, and then looking this way, like involuntarily texting and driving, basically. With AC, you go on, full blast. That's all you should have to do. Thankfully though, the interior finally has a modern update, which Subaru was always lacking in my opinion. Especially that era of like the hatchback all the way until now. Like that whole generation of almost a decade, or actually it has been a decade. Oh my God, it's been longer than that. It basically felt very similar. Let's talk about the engine. The 2.4 liter turbo with 271 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Here's the problem. Even though the last WRX motor was a 2.0 liter, it still made 268 horsepower with 0.4 liters less displacement. So if you think about it, with a 20% upgrade in displacement, it only makes 3 more horsepower? Horsepower isn't everything, but if you're trying to make this thing the all new WRX, 3 horsepower with 0.4 liters displacement? No. So it's like they did a new engine to feel like the old engine. Ah, yes, the chassis is stiffer. They upgraded a whole bunch of stuff. The steering rack is better, like stuff like that. But all things that most people aren't really gonna notice too much. You can get this vehicle with a 6-speed manual. That's great. But let's talk about the controversial part. The 8-speed automatic, in quotations. It is a CVT transmission, and Subaru did everything in their power not to call it a CVT transmission because they knew it would put a bad taste in everybody's mouth who's into performance. The CVT in the WRX, they called it the, what did they call it? The Subaru Performance Transmission. And they claim that it'll shift faster than any gearbox they could have put in here, but it's still gonna take away that attention. I'm sorry. The fact that you use the CVT transmission comes across bad to the enthusiast community. But the biggest sin of the CVT transmission is that the Subaru WRX GT model, with the best interior, with the best materials, with the best everything, Recaro seats, I believe, it only comes in CVT. It doesn't come in manual. What? Okay, why would you put all this enthusiast stuff in the GT model and not put the manual in there? That is super weird. Why would you do that? That's baffling. I'm befuddled. I'm befuddled about this decision. On paper, so far, the more you read, the more you're like, this is supposed to be an all new car. I know you did improve things slightly. If you look at performance cars 20 years ago, I know I use that line all the time. Let's look at American cars. They have basically doubled their horsepower. Let's look at Japanese cars other than Subaru. Evo is gone, so the Subaru doesn't have a main competitor to have any incentive to get faster. In fact, a Hawkeye STI sounds like it would absolutely destroy this thing with some bolt-ons, which is really sad. I think what's really strange is just their progress has been so slow. It feels like it's going at a snail's pace compared to people like Nissan, who's finally stepped up their game, Honda with the Civic Type R. It's just strange. It's strange to me that they kind of don't feel like they care as much since they don't have hardly any competition other than the Golf R. And the Golf R is not a rally car, I know, but think about it, all-wheel drive, pretty much the same price range as this car for the most part, and the Golf R is more fun to drive than the WRX, in my opinion. From the rear, it really feels like a lowered crossover, and even though the diffuser on the back looks cool, it just seems out of place with this car that's kind of bubbly, but not bubbly in an elegant way. Rigid, then bubbly, then rigid, then bubbly, and then diffuser. and then normal triangle taillights. And we're like, wow, we've hit the peak of automotive design here, man. Whew. I'm not a car designer, but it just feels very uninspired. It just kind of feels like a missed opportunity. I think the new WRX feels like a missed opportunity because with the 2.4 liter, which I'm guessing the 2.4 liter is similar to the one you find in the GR86, which the 2.4 in the GR86 feels like a monumental improvement over the last engine, the 2 liter. This has pretty much identical horsepower numbers with a turbo on it. How come it's not making a lot more than the GR86? That's what I don't understand. Anyway, in my opinion, it's a disappointment. I don't know how the STI is gonna go, but if they use that same EJ as 30 freaking years almost now, I'll be severely disappointed. On that note, what do you think about the new Subaru WRX? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps me out, believe it or not. And at the same time, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to head over to PattersonCarCare.com. It is my own original formula detail brand made right here in the US of A, and it's the easiest way to wash your car, especially with our wheel cleaner, which is like cheating cleaning your wheels in just around a minute. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Sundays, and I will see you guys next time, and take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.